Welcome back to America Right Now. I'm Tom Basile. When it comes to manipulating information to demonize Republicans, Democrats and their friends in the corporate press, they stick the landing every time. Newly minted vice presidential nominee J.D. Vance just had his Charlottesville moment handed to him, and again, the public is getting played. For more than a week now, social media and cable news have been hyperventilating over an interview then Senate candidate J.D. Vance gave to Tucker Carlson in July of 2021, in which he said that childless cat ladies are running the country. Mr. Vance also said, quote, "The entire future of the Democrats is controlled by people without children." Now, to appreciate the similarities to the Charlottesville manipulation, let's first review what the press did to then-President Donald Trump after a 2017 protest over the removal of a statue of General Robert E. Lee in Virginia turned violent. Following the riot, here's the remarks that Mr. Trump said to reporters. Watch.
You had some very bad people in that group, but you also had people that were very fine people on both sides.
Fine people on both sides. Now, that line continues to this day to be used as supposed evidence that the former president is a racist. However, immediately following that statement, Mr. Trump rightly predicted that the left would attempt to cancel George Washington and other founding fathers. He went on to say,
"You're changing history, you're changing culture, and you had people, and I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists, because they should be condemned totally."
Did you hear that part? The media totally ignored it. Neither did they correct the repeated assertions by Democrat politicians and pundits that Mr. Trump's comments embraced white nationalism. In truth, he was attempting to defend the people who were on both sides of a legitimate debate over erasing our history, who were making their voices heard, who came to the protest with no intention of perpetrating violence. Now, back to the misinformation campaign over Senator Vance's comments. In remarks to the Intercollegiate Studies Institute in July of 2021, just a couple of days before the Carlson interview, Mr. Vance made clear to whom he was referring with his very sarcastic cat ladies remark. Watch.
Now let me do the necessary throat clearing because I do think it's important. Look, a lot of people are unable to have kids for very complicated and important reasons. I know good friends of mine who have struggled to find the right girl, find the right guy. There are people, of course, for biological reasons, medical reasons, that can't have children. The target of these remarks is not them. It's important to point that out. There have always been people like that who, even though they would like to have kids, unable to have them. Let's set them to the side.
But of course, you likely haven't heard those comments either because they have been intentionally suppressed and ignored by the press and social media mamans. Are you listening, Jennifer Aniston? Really? Any suggestion that Mr. Vance disparages women who are infertile or can't have children is a lie. He was making a very important point about marriage and family. That's why he's being attacked. In our age of voter interference through deliberate misinformation campaigns by corporate media that are essentially an arm of the Democratic Party, this is what happens. J.D. Vance is right that becoming a parent changes your perspective and priorities. Who could possibly argue with that? Procreation and strong families are necessary for societies to thrive. Socialists and Marxists believe otherwise. They push the myth that isolated individuals have more power when, in reality, they actually make it easier for the state to claw away more freedom and agency. Now, look, whether the people who run the Democratic Party have or don't have children isn't really the point. It's the messaging of the party and its affiliates that have increasingly de-emphasized the importance of marriage and family. That's the point, and it's having an impact. A recent Pew Research survey highlights the growing divide between the political parties on the importance of marriage and family. The poll conducted in April asked if the nation would be better off if marriage and family were prioritized. Nearly 60% of Trump supporters said yes. Still actually kind of a low number, but still 60%. Among Biden supporters or Democrats, only 19% agreed. Among women aged 18 to 49, 64% said they, quote, just didn't want to have children, compared to 50% of men in the same group. The Pew survey also showed that nearly 40% of respondents said they wouldn't have children because of the state of the world. Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has said that it is, quote, a legitimate question to ask whether it is moral to have children with the looming threat of climate change. She doesn't have children. Kamala Harris has echoed those sentiments on more than one occasion. Watch.
I've heard young leaders talk with me about a term they've coined called climate anxiety. Right? Which is fear of the future and the unknown, of whether it makes sense for you to even think about having children.
Randy Weingarten, the powerful president of the United Federation of Teachers and a top influencer in our failing public education system, is a married lesbian with no children of her own. The Biden-Harris administration's top public health official is a man who thinks he's a woman, who dresses like a woman, who continues to push for the legalized sterilization of children. The head of the American Library Association is an unmarried, avowed Marxist woman. This growing strain within the Democratic Party is aligned with the stated goals of American socialism, namely the destruction of morality, foundational institutions, and presenting degeneracy and promiscuity as normal, natural, and healthy. Mr. Vance's point, tying the strength of the nation's future to the family, is sound. Economic and social data all point to marriage and strong families yielding happier lives, higher earnings, better educational outcomes for children, improved self-esteem, lower risk of severe mental health challenges, lower incarceration rates, and more supportive aging. Yeah, hobbies and travel and pets and the boat that you wanted and that promotion and the bigger apartment, they're all nice, but they don't bring true spiritual fulfillment. Yes, Senator Vance, the old adage still applies to you. If you're explaining, you're losing, and that's something that the campaign must handle. But for the rest of us, we must appreciate those telling us that marriage and family don't really matter that much are the same ones who told us Donald Trump is Hitler, Joe Biden was mentally fit to serve another term, Kamala Harris had nothing to do with the open border, boys and girls' locker rooms are just fine, and J.D. Vance is weird. All right, much more America Right Now when we return. Stay right there.